Hello, good morning, you guys. How's everybody doing? Y'all doing okay this morning? I'm up early. I always be up early, and y'all not gonna believe what I was up early doing. I was up early looking at um I woke up thinking about um some of the old civil rights stuff. I'm so happy that I cannot wait until I start taking African American literature and African American history. I cannot wait. But I was up looking at I found some old clips of of Medgar Evers. And y'all know Medgar Evers was a civil rights leader from out of Mississippi who was assassinated in his driveway back in the 60s. And for some reason, like in the 90s, when they did a movie on it, when they started really talking about that, I took an interest in it. And I was a teenager at that time, but I definitely took an interest in that story. I read the book on the man who actually assassinated him. And I read that book that the Klansman that actually assassinated him nephew had written. He did a biography on his life, and that was Byron DeLay Beckwith on how him being in the clans, how racist he was. He ended up assassinating and bragged about it, and they would not bring in the charges against him. They didn't convict him actually, but charges was actually brought against him probably in like 2000. Okay, 1990, in the late 90s, there was actually some justice. And I was looking at that, and I get to thinking about, that all that our leaders went to through then, and I get to looking at like what it is that we're going through now. And just looking at the history of what our people went through and the state that we are in now. I mean, more people need to talk about it, okay? Because it's real sad when you see men and women brazenly um, sitting up, just bragging about, killing each other and setting each other up. And it comes in our community, and it's almost like you're looked at as a hero if you do that. You're looked at as a hero if you're setting up somebody, if in our community, if you're killing somebody. And that's got to stop. I was thinking about um a situation I was listening to on yesterday, and how a young lady was just sitting up bragging about, okay, um, assaulting this person. And it's almost like she didn't understand, even sitting there in the face of the judge. She didn't understand. That's why I know it's these young folks got to be taught something differently. They ain't being taught right. She didn't understand, even sitting in the face of the judge, that you cannot assault somebody just because, you know, um, hey, they say something to you. They walk into a clothing store. You all have been into it before, and you walk into a you see each other in a clothing store, and she looking crazy. She want to say crazy stuff all up under her breath, you know, uh, like we was scared or something. You can't just assault somebody for that. That's no reason for. And the sad thing about it is, because nobody would ever come in court and say that to a judge. But the sad thing about it is they don't know that. These girls are 18, 19. They don't know that. You can't assault somebody just because they look at you crazy. Okay? Needless to say, what could have probably been something minor, the judge made an example out of them. Okay? And I don't believe that anybody, and some of these girls think this stuff is cute. They think this stuff think it's cute because they're not being taught any better. Okay. Um, and so I think about like what our ancestors, like Medgar Evers, went through then. What a lot of them went through, because it was a lot more than Dr. King. I do believe that Medgar Evers came before Dr. King. Okay, and just looking at them out there marching and all of that, and working in danger. And I get to thinking about like when I read that book back in the 90s, because my dad had gotten me so interested in like Black history. And I remember reading in that book when Byron DeLay Beckwith, that's the racist and the Klansman that killed Medgar Evers. They was talking about in those days, like when how Black people had so much fear as it relates to Caucasians. And I'm not talking about this to create an energy for white people, because today's white people didn't do this. Okay. So you got to be stupid to even try and take that out on them. That's not what I'm doing. But we have to remember our history, because they want to erase it, right? That's why when I was talking to my advisor, and she was like, "Well, you got to have another history." I said, "I want African American history." She said, "Got to have another history. You got to have another literature." I waited too long, because I'm gonna tell you something. If you only got a few hours, let me say this before I get into that. If you only got a few hours, you need to get your degree. What you need to do is go on to do it, because as the years go on, they start adding stuff that you need to graduate. Okay. They start adding stuff. Some of the classes that I took no longer were you know, it no longer relates to the degree, so it's just something that you take. So if you just need a few hours, get your degree, child, because I'm taking some classes that I probably shouldn't have even needed, because and when I first started school, you only needed one history. Okay. You only needed one history, you only needed one literature. Now you gotta have almost two or three of everything, right? And so, anyways, back to what I was saying. And so when I read that book, Byron DeLay Beckwith book, back in the 70s, I mean, I said the 70s, back in the 90s, back in the 90s, it was, I remember reading, them talking about like when white guys would go fishing. Okay. If they would go fishing, they would go fishing. And if they stayed out too late, they would just stop by any black person's house, any black person's house, and make them clean the fish. They could stop by any black person's house back then and make them clean the fish and make them cook the fish for them. Okay? Just stop. Randomly stop. This is what our ancestors have gone through. And to get these damn cuckabug heads, okay, to gather, that's one of the reasons why when people say, well, you talk about dog, first of all, I talk about what I want to talk about. Number one, Young Dolph's case represents so much more. I mean, I guess because it's been happening, but I guess because there's been a lot of focus on it. And then I've had the opportunity really to pay real close attention to the Young Dolph situation. And I'm not saying that Young Dolph was perfect, because none of us are perfect, but surely they didn't have any reason to kill him. That's number one. Number two, the idea, because I'm a go-getter and I'm a hard worker. And the idea that people would sit in rooms that look like him, okay, and plot against him because of his greatness. This is the type of stuff that's going on. Which is no different than really what they was doing back then, right? You know, back in the back in the, which is what happened like in the 1920s when they did the Black Wall Street. And I think they quietly went into back rooms to make sure after the Black Wall Street that black people could not um become wealthy through businesses, real successful businesses. That's why you don't see a whole lot of Black people with a lot of businesses, right? You We're the 1% as far as being the real rich. They let a few in, I guess, so it won't be so obvious, right? And so when you get a young Dolph that kind of goes around that system, you would think that our people would want to either get with him, and even if they couldn't get with him, if he wouldn't let them in his inner circle, because you can't let everybody in your inner circle. I hate to say it. You see how some of these people are and think? Everybody ain't worthy. Even if they think they are, they're not. They're garbage. They ain't got the character to be around you, because they'll bring you down because they're soulless and they're garbage. Okay? And so even if he didn't let them around him, they could have, if they had any kind of right in them, if they had any kind of get up and go about himself, hey, they could have said, hey, it ain't cool. I don't think he won't let us in. He won't sign straight drop or whatever, in which he ain't got to sign him. I wouldn't have signed him either. Okay, I don't care how talented he was. He must not have been manageable, because what they do, okay, young Dolph wouldn't let him in. You know why? Because of how they had him out there in the street. He thought it was okay to just go take hits and kill somebody. But the people who ultimately gassed him up, right? The people who ultimately gassed him up, they hurt him worse than young Dolph ever could have. Okay? Because look at where he at. Look at what they had him doing, right? And so I think about, when I think about a lot of the books that I've read, some of our history, what our ancestors have gone through. I love to go back and look at those videos. And I had one up, and I just want y'all to, I'm just going to show y'all a little bit of this. That's why I said we got to do better. Okay. And our people wanted something differently. They was hurting. A Black girl, when they be leaving the church, they couldn't even walk by themselves, because the Klansmen, just like these damn fools be out doing now, honey, we out on the, what they say, we out sliding, we out looking for somebody to kill. They'd be out when they knew when Black women and men went to church. They'd be out riding at night looking for a Black girl to try and rape right in front of her brother or her daddy. Okay? They'd be looking for a Black man to kill. So I agree with Colt Figure when he say the black face Ku Klux Klan. It's got to change, okay? But this is the type of stuff that I like to look at.
Medgar Evers, the NAACP secretary for Jackson, Mississippi, organizes boycotts of shops that...
Now, this man worked. He had a very young family, had just married his young wife, had about 3 kids. He would leave work and then get out there with signs, okay, and walk. And look at him. He dressed up just as nice.
That enforce Jim Crow laws.
Let me say this to you.
And this right here, when you think about these civil rights workers, that scripture in the Bible definitely resonates. Although I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, because they was definitely walking in front of death, because these civil rights workers were getting killed because they wanted to free Black people. Okay, they wanted them to be treated like humans, and you got these damn fools killing because somebody like young Dolph has figured out the recipe. And then you got a lot of damn fools that get on here and try and celebrate that. A lot of these Black folks make me shame.
I had one merchant to call me, and he said, we don't need nigger business. So let us not trade at these stores. Let's let the merchants down on Capitol Street feel the economic pinch.
NBC News cameras carry Evers' impassioned speech nationwide. 3 weeks later, a gunman shoots him in the back. As a World War II veteran, Evers is buried with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery. His funeral airs on national television. Over 3,000 mourners come to pay their respects. His brother Charles, a fellow activist, comforts his distraught widow Merle and their 2 young children Daryl and Rena.
At the time Medgar Evers left his wife behind, she was 19 years old. I read that. Or she was 19, rather, when he married her. And she said even though it was hard out there, he had always taken care of her from the time that he married her. Okay. So it was devastating. This was a Black man that sacrificed his own life from down there in Jackson, Mississippi, for a lot of these damn fools right now that's killing other Black men, that's taking care of their families. The white folks ain't got to do it no more. Okay. You got a lot of these damn fools that don't know how to control their jealousy. It was a dude that came into my chat, okay? And I remember that guy that came into my chat. I believe his name was Street Stepper, okay? And when he came into my chat, he was always he was never disrespectful, okay? But you could tell as a matter of fact, he had it on his page, and he said it when he came into my chat. He says, "I respect you, but I'm not a Young Dolph. I don't care for Young Dolph." And then he turned around and said, Young Dolph never should have had Straight Drop around him and not sign him. Okay. So anyways, what I did is I had to block him because one of my friends at the PD, that's the time, I don't know who Street Stepper was. I don't know who he was. No, it wasn't Big Stepper. His name was Street Stepper. I don't know who he was, but they told me block him. And if he make another page up under that name, block him. So I guess they had figured out who he was. But he was never disrespectful. But he definitely, you could tell that he loved Kamisha. Okay, he loved Kamisha. He didn't like Young Dolph because he said it, and he loved Straight Drop. Which ain't, hey, that's cool. I don't know why you would be hanging around a chat that was screaming justice for Young Dolph, and but that's neither here nor there. I think they, called. Anyways, I don't want to get into that because these, okay. Anyways, I don't even want to talk about that period because I don't even know what's going on with that. But what I will say is, he got in here and he said Dolph never should have had Straight Drop around him and he didn't sign him. Since when do we get to, if somebody builds something from the ground, it's just like if you go buy a house, how you think you gonna tell somebody who can and can't live in their house? Why do Black people feel like when another Black person come up, they can tell them? But see, it's all wrapped up in jealousy, who they can and can't sign. Okay? Who they can and can't sign. So you try and justify them gunning down another Black man that took care of his family, that was giving back to the community. I bet he ain't. You try and justify that because he didn't sign Straight Drop? I bet you they wouldn't have went and got Clive Davis and told Clive Davis he better sign Straight Drop. You couldn't have paid them $1 million. And we know they love money. They'll do anything for some money. I believe some of them kill their own mama for some money. Anytime you take money to plot against another Black man that ain't did nothing for you, you garbage. You'll kill your own mama and kids. You ain't to be trusted. Okay? But I bet you they wouldn't have played that. You couldn't have got them to take $5 million to kill Clive Davis because they dare not tell a white man who they can and can't sign. And they were signing ops the whole time. But they allowed their jealousy and their just being a disgusting individual. Okay, they can't. The Bible says that jealousy is as cruel as the grave. To put them against another black man. Okay, and we've had black men like this that stared death in the face every day, so that people like them with they no good asses could be free. Okay.
Evers murder.
Look at that child right there wiping her eyes because of her daddy being dead. She's old enough to understand, just as Trey was. And you got a bunch of damn black men sitting up on YouTube trying to justify what they've done, even though they got kids. Okay. But God says, when I get them back, you're going to witness it. It ain't over. Because that God get back is the worst that one could ever get. And I think a lot of them would really rather be dead because they're so disgusted with themselves deep down inside. Okay?
Only deepens the movement's resolve to defeat racism through nonviolent means. At his memorial service held in Jackson, a 5,000-strong march is led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
The brutal murder of Medgar Evers came as shocking and tragic news to all people of goodwill. I think this reveals that we still have a long, long way to go in this nation before we achieve the ideals of decency and the ideals of brotherhood.
It will be another 30 years before Evers' killer is finally brought to justice. Former U.S. Marine and white supremacist Byron Della Beckwith is arrested just days after Evers' funeral, smiling for the camera. He's twice tried by an all-white jury. Both trials end in a hung jury. It's not until 1994 that he's eventually found guilty.
Now, that was in the 60s. And he had a hung jury twice because they were all white down there in Jackson. And then they decided to try him again. And, I guess they got a mixed race of people this time. And then after that, there was a movie made on him because I loved the movie. It was a good movie. And I do believe that Medgar Evers' widow, she ended up marrying again in the 80s, 20 years after he was killed. And but she's still alive. I think she's in her Merle is still in her. She's in her 90s. Okay. But I love to go back and look at stuff like that, because it reminds me of, first of all, I love to look at visuals because it's a lot of stuff they didn't even teach us. Because I don't think that Medgar Evers was even in our social studies books. I don't think they taught about him. They taught about Dr. King, and the dream. They taught about the dream. They didn't teach about when he woke up from his dream, which is why he was really killed. There's a lot of things that they don't teach us. And the sad thing about it is there's a lot of things I don't even know if we care to know because, it's we want to just destruct, okay, for some reason. And so when I look at men like that was able to stare death in the face, dying for a real cause, and they shouldn't have been dying because they really should have been protected. But I can understand, like Black people back then, they weren't free. They was trying to get free. They were still scared. They were still catching the women coming from Bible study or rallies, or that they was having at churches to strategize. They was catching the women coming home and raping them. Okay, because the women were secretaries and they always stood behind an organized cause and the men were out front. That was what they did. Okay. And so what they ended up having to do is, because it had gotten so bad, they had decided, well, hey, we're gonna do the women another kind of way. We're going to psychologically mess them up as they did in the slavery days. We're just gonna rape them. Okay, we're gonna catch them and we're gonna rape them, and sometimes kill them. Okay. And so it had gotten to a point where the women could not even go to church, or they could at nighttime after they got home from work, if they was working somewhere, without having a group of men that was on patrol, a group of black men, to protect them. Now, what's going on? The black woman is the most underprotected. You even got black men now, able-bodied black men, that want to lay up on her. Okay, they want to sit their sorry asses up and lay up on her instead of working and protecting her and taking care of her. A good black woman, they go choose a hoe and get mad and want to destroy and hurt somebody's good daughter because they chose wrong. They ain't got no spirit of discernment. Okay. As a matter of fact, it's so bad that you could go and look up some of the videos. Okay, it's probably on YouTube, where in the subway, and there have been a few times in the subway in New York, okay, where black women have been made to do certain things, assaulted, and people just walk right past them, didn't try to stop it or nothing. Black women are the most underprotected, and you got a lot of black men that want to use them and need them, but don't want to take care of them and protect them. They got to pay for that too. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you what I think is so sick, that you have other black women, and that's why I say, ladies, we got to do better. We have other black women that are so hurt and so messed up in the brain, they need some help, that because they've gone through hell, they join on with these men to try to launch some type of attack on another woman. You couldn't pay me to do it. But of course, I'm sane. I'm not a jealous-hearted person. You can't pay me to do it. Okay. That's right. It reminds us of struggle of our ancestors and to do better. Okay. And so when I got up and I was looking at that this morning, and so when people say, well, why you, I can't understand why anybody would even ask me, why do I still talk about Young Dolph? The short answer would be because I'm grown. That would be the short answer, because I'm grown, because I can do what I want to do. But it represents so much more. But small-minded people don't understand that, right? Because they don't even know their history. Somebody that actually was killed, okay, just because of jealousy. You got it, and you won't let me get none of it, and I'm gonna kill you and take you from what you done work for. That's the reason why attention has to be brought to stuff like this, so that, when they sold this, they ain't got no shame. Okay, when they sold this, they don't. But attention has to be brought to it so something can be done about it. Because the only thing these dudes really afraid of is jail. I think they'd rather die than go to jail. And that's why they need to be in jail, when they have those types of mindsets, right? But y'all, we got to do better in our community. We do. We just don't have a choice. We got to do better. And it makes my heart full when I see, like, black people back then, and they were traumatized though, and I hate that. But how they wanted better, and how they made the efforts, and they sacrificed themselves for their children. Okay, my dad always taught me, what we do today, it's not even about us. I work hard, and it ain't about me. I want to leave something behind for my kids. That's what I want to do. I want to leave something behind for my children and my grandchildren and my great grandkids, right? That's how it's supposed to be. That's what other communities do. I want to leave legacies behind, okay? I was talking to my mentor, okay? And he told me, he said, Tamara, like, I have an office. And I had been, I had never even really had a whole lot of thoughts until, you know, properties and stuff started going up. Okay. Now they're starting to go back down. So y'all pay attention to that. Properties are starting to go down a little bit. Okay. Because there is no demand for them. So they're starting to go down, praise God. And but unfortunately, it's a lot of people's houses and stuff going to foreclosures. Learn the business for yourself. Start reading and learn the business for yourself. These people that claim that they can teach you about stuff and they want you to pay them all of these astronomical fees and they saying they can get you loans and stuff, don't do it. Do not do it. Okay. People are stealing social security numbers. Like my daughter, it's some stuff going on with me, some stuff going on with my daughter. Our social security numbers were sold. It was a guy in a rehabilitation center down there in Atlanta up under using my social security number. And it's somebody that was up until very recently a Hispanic getting cancer treatments up under my daughter's name. Okay. Also, make sure that, because I don't know, I believe some people on YouTube was doing it too. Getting life insurance policies, and you all can check this. Make sure, because somebody was telling me that they was pulling family trees and they was doing that so that they could to see who was dead so that they can get credit cards and stuff in your family's names. But they was also getting insurance. Now, like one of the federal agents said, why would somebody be trying to get insurance like on you, or get your number to get insurance on you or your family member, unless they plan on something happening, right? They have friends that have insurance companies. Y'all gonna start seeing something going on with that real soon too. A lot of these girls that's got insurance licenses. That's what I can't understand with some of these women. How can they be so damn stupid? Bitch, you don't even your ass come up out the projects, hoe. And you get your ass on YouTube and let a motherfucker that ain't never had nothing send you to federal prison and you got kids? Because that's where you going. And a lot of these men don't care nothing about no women. They like to use them. And they look for weak ones. That's why when they see one with a strong mind, they don't even know them. That's why I always say, I'm putting the police on you, nigga. That's what I'm doing. Because when they see a strong woman, they do all they can to try to attack her and to try and tear her down. Okay? Because they're mentally sick, a lot of them. And that's why I don't have no problem, bitch. I'm putting the police on you. And I ain't going to stop. I'm going to put the police on you and I ain't going to stop until you say she ain't worth it. Okay? So that's what's going on. Y'all can make sure that ain't nobody got no insurance and stuff in your name. Get something on your credit report. So every time your credit, somebody ran my credit the other day. Okay. And I couldn't get, they started calling me immediately. I don't know what, I don't know why they ran it. I mean, my debt ratio up real high. Are they trying to see where I live at? Okay. If I can't get nothing, if I can't get nothing on it with my social security number, why you think you're gonna be able to get something? If I told you my debt ratio is up real high. Okay, it might be down now and sold that house. Okay. But protect yourself, because it's a lot of people, all that hacking and stuff. That's why they do it, because they want to get your personal information. And I would, even if you hear about somebody that does something like that, I'm pretty sure that there have already been all types of information sent in to the FBI. Just start sending it in. And as soon as you see that somebody has tried to do anything, any type of fraud or anything, if I was you, I would go online and write in to the FBI or go to your local FBI. It's better if you go to them locally because you're able to talk to an agent, right? But yeah, that's the type of stuff that they're doing. What they're basically doing is getting your information, and you got some scammers. They get your information and they sell your information to Hispanics that don't have, or people that are illegal, and they go and get Medicare cards and all types of stuff in your name. That's why a lot of this hacking was going on, and you got Black folks on here doing it. Okay. I could never in my life sit up and talk about, I got it going on, and I know I'm a damn scammer. I would be ashamed of myself. Okay, trying to come up off of the back of somebody else, trying to destroy somebody else and create that bad karma. Okay. But one thing that I can say about this Trump administration, and I know that because I worked for the feds. Okay. They've zoned in on this because they lose so much money with this scamming and stuff. They really honed in on that. That's why you see them now going back, and people who scammed and getting that loan and stuff, those loans and those government loans and stuff. I mean, that's just scratching the surface. They going way deeper than that. You're not going to they focus in on people that think that they're going to defraud the government because of how much money that they lose. So if you're a scammer, this would be a good time to get out if you can. Okay. But you know what they say, your sins will find you out. One thing I do know, when they get talking about, the feds would have been doing this, they be watching folks for years. Okay. Everybody know that. That's a career criminal. They're watching for years. For years. Okay. Anyways, y'all. Yeah. I know that was loaded. Y'all know I be having a whole lot of stuff going through my head, but I was looking at that. Like I say, we gotta do better. Um I think that hold on one second. So they did a little short stint on Medgar
Civil
Evers'
rights
wife
leader Medgar
a
Evers was
couple
gunned
years
down in
ago.
front of his Mississippi home, just a few feet away from his wife and 3 young children. Evers helped lead the fight to register Black voters and boycott whites-only businesses in the deeply
And you are registering to vote. Make sure you're registered to vote, especially if you're around the Memphis and Shelby counties area. Next year is the county's vote, elections. If you're not registered to vote, please register to vote. Okay, please register to vote.
segregated state. After he was killed, his wife, Myrlie Evers, carried the baton for racial equality. She says she wanted to honor his legacy. In an exclusive interview, we met Mrs. Evers at the family's former home in Jackson, Mississippi.
As we sit here in your house, what memories does it bring back for you? What was it like living here?
That's one heck of a question. I see love in this house that overrides
The fear?
hatred.
Myrlie Evers has been fighting against hatred all of her life, perhaps in its strongest form in the early 1960s, when her family was under constant threat because of her husband Medgar Evers' work in the civil rights movement.
I've had a number of threatening calls, people calling me saying that they were going to kill me, saying that they were going to blow my home up. and saying that I only had a few hours to live.
How were you able to live like that, knowing that at any day could be his last day?
Knowing that every day might be the last day was the force behind the deep love that Medgar and I had for each other and our children.
Did you ever question if he loved the movement more than the family? Did you ever ask him that? Or was that not a fair question?
I did.
Oh.
What about us? You have me, your wife who loves you dearly. You have these 3 children. And Medgar would tell me that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. He told me at one time, either you are with me or you aren't. You make that decision.
And in the end, you decided, my decision is I'm going to stay with you.
My decision was, excuse my grammar, ain't gonna leave that man.
I love that. Now you hear that Black woman, she questioned her husband, who was a part of the civil rights movement. And he told her, I'm doing this. I'm staring death in the face. Even though, you could just flat out kill a Black person and get away with it. And he was doing it for the future of his children, so that they wouldn't have to go through what he went through. And as a strong Black woman, of course, as women, we, sometimes we don't understand. But hey, that's a strong Black woman. She said, I ain't leaving that man. And I would not have either. I would not have either. They was throwing those Molotov cocktails or whatever you call in windows and setting houses on fire of Black men that not only that was leading the branches of the civil rights movement, but they was doing it to Black men who was industrial, if I'm saying that right, who were starting successful businesses. Okay. That was happening back then. That's why I can't understand how these Black men now killing Black men that are being successful. That's what the Klansmen were doing back then. If they had successful businesses, they would warn them, you better shut it down, because all the business is for the white folks. Okay? They dare not shut it down. If they was brave enough not to shut it down because they was getting all the business from the Black people, they would kill them. They would set their houses on fire. They would throw stuff in their windows, set their houses on fire, right? Or the Black man who started the business would go missing. Okay? So a lot of what the Klansmen were doing back then to Black men that dared to be great, you see Black people doing it now. They've taken the place of the Ku Klux Klan in their very own community. And you have people like Medgar Evers, who died so that for our race, and people like Miss Marilee Evers, who were young widows and mothers who was forced to be single mothers because her husband wanted a better future for his children and our whole community. Okay.
Medgar and Myrlie met when they were both attending Alcorn A&M College in 1950. They got married in 1951, and 3 years later they moved to Jackson, Mississippi, where Medgar would become the state's first NAACP field secretary. It was that position that ultimately made him a target.
Medgar Evers, 37 years old, killed from ambush on Wednesday, June 12, 1963. A single bullet ended his life.
There was the love of my life and my children's father. I recall vividly our children saying, crying, screaming, Daddy, get up, Daddy, get up. And of course, there were my screams. And trying to help him and remembering that Medgar and I had talked about that scene so many times.
During that time, you seemed to be so gracious. Is that what you were really feeling at the time?
What a beautiful front that was. Because beneath it, was this determination to make them pay.
But here was your husband preaching against hatred. Did you find yourself feeling hatred yourself in this moment?
As negative as it is, that's what kept me going.
Who was your hatred directed to or at?
I would have to say it was initially directed to everyone whose skin color was not the same as mine.
Okay. And that just came from trauma. Because she understood at that time, even at that time, all white people, because there was some that secretly helped them because they didn't believe in that. There were a few, right, that actually secretly helped the movement. And so that's why I say we can't judge people based on their race. We got to judge people based on their character. Right? This right here, me talking about this is not to start a movement on hating white people. That would be absolutely crazy. I don't see white people killing black people every day. I see black people killing black people every single day. Okay? But this right here is to remind. This is why I love looking at these. It's a reminder. Like, we weren't born back then, but look at how far removed we are from this. A lot of people don't even know who Medgar Evers is. This man lost his life. Okay? This man lost his life because he too wanted a better future for himself. Okay? And his children. And you know, when she said her children ran outside and saw their father and was screaming, "Daddy, get up, Daddy, get up." They saw their daddy dead. A man that had taken care of them and loved them, you know, and this is only because we all can, you know, reference this because we've all been here because of the Young Dolph situation. We've seen the sadness in Young Dolph's son's eyes because his daddy was a constant presence in his life. And no man, unless he's soulless and pathetic and garbage, could ever look at what happened to that man, look at the sadness in his son's eyes, and celebrate his death unless they come from the pits of hell and they need to go back. Okay?
Might be ugly, but that's the way I felt.
Mm-hmm.
I was determined to see whomever was responsible for my husband's death would pay.
Mm-hmm.
That ugly period of hating actually saved me. It saved me in the sense that I could retreat in my room or my bed someplace and plan destruction. That seemed to relieve me of.
Now, through the years, she made activism a part of her life. She became an activist. She was very vocal with it. Who do we see as a modern day person that's doing this? I don't know why I'm referencing Young Dolph so much, but we see what Mia J does now. She's become somewhat like an activist because of her pain. She's trying to birth her pain into purpose, right?
Suicide.
Really? You thought about taking your own life and leaving your children?
But I couldn't because of my children. Then what would they do?
Murley and Medgar's children were 9, 8, and 3 years old when their father was killed. We asked their daughter, Rena, to join us in their old dining room to watch an interview that her mother gave to CBS News just one day after she lost her husband.
I would hate to think that the sacrifice that he made while he was living and also by his death would go in vain. I hope that by his death, that this will help all of us, not only in Jackson, in Mississippi, or in the United States, but throughout the world.
Boy,
Wow.
I know.
I've never seen that.
You've never
That-
seen that? What do you think when you see that video of yourself and you see that young woman at 30?
I had difficulty watching them.
Did you?
Yes. Because I see something in that woman that I didn't realize was there.
Which was?
A strength. I also see determination.
Just by the eloquence of your words and by the poignancy to address the world and not just Mississippi, and to hear these words come back again today.
Wow, that's so awesome. I have to pause it because y'all know how I get emotional. Like that's why I love looking at stuff like this, like the strength of those people after, our ancestors, like back then. And they went through way worse, having to ride the back of the bus. And as I said, Black people being so afraid of racist white men, they could go fishing. They didn't feel like cleaning their fish. They could stop by any Black person's house and make them clean their fish and cook their fish for them if they wanted to eat before they made it home or whatever, or just what our ancestors have gone through, and our people are so lost now, and ain't nothing changed as it relates to Black men being, God making them awesome, because they are. I think that's why Black men have been a target. It is, when I speak from a place of disappointment. When you look at, I like to reference, see, they don't want to really show you a Medgar Evers like that. They talk about him in passing, but they'll never show a whole lot of that because they don't ever want Black men to have anything to reference. Okay, they like to show you Dr. King when he was out there being spit on and hit and all of that, and said he had a dream. Well, you have a lot of Black men say, well, look, hey, I appreciate what he did, but I ain't gonna let nobody spit on me and hit me. They don't show the real fighting. They don't show the strategies. They don't show how, Black men that were industrial, that was starting their businesses and stuff, and that was very intelligent, very smart, had a determination, not a determination to use a woman, because the woman is the gift. That's you ain't gonna never make it if you think you're gonna mistreat a woman. But a Black men that knew their place. Medgar Evers knew who he was. That's why he kept going. He knew at some point it was probably going to end his life, as every civil rights leader that was really proactive. They down there in their grave. And the only person that they ever really talked about, okay, was they didn't really start talking about Malcolm X until Spike Lee decided to do a movie on him. Let's be real about it. We didn't really know who Malcolm X was, our generation. He's not in our history books until Spike Lee did. Okay. Until Spike Lee did a movie on him. And so they don't want Black men to reference, have anything to reference. Okay. They don't ever want. That's why, when people, when I think about when my father decided to do the Cornelia Crenshaw Foundation, okay. And one of the reasons I took an interest in Cornelia Crenshaw is because she lived right over there on Vance Street. And she was a civil rights activist, and they minimized her to nothing. So when they did the monuments downtown, my dad got out and fought and made sure they put her name down there on the monument, because it was Miss Crenshaw, a woman. Every time Dr. King came to Memphis, she organized that, and he stayed right at her house for the sanitation workers. It was her. It was her that drove him around. It was Miss Crenshaw who went without lights. Miss Crenshaw said, well, right in Memphis, and a lot of Memphians don't know that, because they don't ever want Black women to have another Black woman to reference that was strong and kept her clothes on, that spoke well, that was sure about herself, that was a lady. But she was a fighter, but she fought for the right things, not a man. She fought for freedom, for righteousness. And so Miss Crenshaw said, every month, poor Black people in Memphis, their lights and their water is out, and it ain't right. The citizens own Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. So she got a group of people together, and she started picketing Memphis Light, Gas, and Water and the politicians. She was down at the meetings, at the city council meetings, every time that they had a meeting. And Willie Harrington, who, remember Miss Crenshaw, can vouch for this, because when my dad interviewed him, he said she was brave. She would go with him. He said she was strong. She was one of the bravest women that I knew, one of the only women I knew that put me in my place, and she did it tastefully and tactfully. Okay? And Miss Crenshaw kept fighting until Memphis Light, Gas, and Water came up with a plan. Okay? That because Black people, poor Black people, women and men and children was sitting in the dark without water because they was poor, they didn't have any money to pay their light bill. She's the reason that they came up with the payment plan. One Black woman in Memphis that fought her behind off, and they tried to minimize her. That's why when my daddy started putting up billboards all over Memphis, you had G.E. Patterson's wife, Sister Louise, called my daddy. All of those older women that had remembered Miss Crenshaw and said, Rick, we so glad you're doing that. I remember Miss Crenshaw. Miss Crenshaw got out there and fight, and she got other people together, and it's because of her. See, people think, well, it's just a prayer. Hey, when I don't have the money to pay my light bill, I pay partial. We've all had to pay partial. But it wasn't like that in the early 80s and stuff. If you didn't have all of your money, you was just gonna sit in the dark and wasn't gonna have no water. Okay? But it was mainly happening to poor Black people, and you had a Black woman. Okay? She worked for Memphis Housing Authority, so she had money, that got out and fought for Black people. We don't know our history. That's the reason why we're able to do each other like we do each other, okay? You ain't got to be jealous of nobody. Hell, jealousy is just an emotion that says, this person got something that I can't have. You can have it if you want it, but you gotta, I tell people all the time, in order to do what I do, you got to do what I do. In order to do what Beyonce do and to have what she have, you got to do what she do. Okay? You can't have the gifts without the works. So if you're willing to do it, you can have it. Okay? But a lot of people want the gifts, but they don't want to do the work. And so it sparks an emotion of jealousy that most people, and we're seeing mental illness is prevalent now. They can't control it. Because the first thing that comes to a person's mind now when they get mad at you, I'm going to kill that bitch ass nigga. Why? It ain't you ain't did nothing but had an argument with him. He think look at he think he better than everybody else anyway. That nigga don't need to be around us anyway. At the core of it is jealousy coupled with mental illness. Okay? So that's why I say, y'all, we got to do better. We got to do better, y'all. We ain't got no choice. Okay? Anyways, y'all, I ain't mean to get on here and do a Black History, and y'all know how I be. But I love looking at this stuff. I gotta jump in the shower. But listen, I appreciate y'all sitting on here listening to me. Y'all know I be having like what who was that? One of my exes? Yeah. He said, well, he used to say, well, baby, one thing about it, you ain't boring. He said, I guess that's why I stay with you. You keep me, you keep me wondering what you're gonna do next because you have about 7 or 8 different emotions in a span of 10 minutes. He said, you have about 7 or 8 emotions in a span of 10 minutes. He said, you breaks records. He was trying to call me kooky, but whatever. Okay. That ain't why I stayed. Okay. That ain't why I stayed. I can tell you that. Anyway, y'all, listen, I appreciate you all tuning in. I'm joking, y'all. I appreciate you all tuning in. As always, I be hating to get off of here when I talk about Black history. I do. I be hating to get off because I love it so much. Like when I don't come on, I was intending to come on last night and I got caught up in looking at something on YouTube. I found some more videos where when they have audio and pictures of when a lot of the slaves in the South were first freed. And y'all know we listened to some of that before, and I found some more, and I love to hear that audio of what they went through and what it was like, different slaves that had been freed, just being able to hear their voices and stuff and listening to they experience this, and to find those old audios, and now they're uploading more and more of them to YouTube and stuff. Like, wow, like they were children and stuff. Some of them, they were able to get better audio from those that had gotten older, that was in the 60s and stuff, in the 70s, and that was still living like they were free when they was children. They were still old enough to remember living on the plantations. Like, wow, oh my God, like that's so much rich history, and I love to just reference it myself and to listen to it. It makes me want to go harder. It makes me want to, just be better. I feel like I owe it to like the people that have died for us. And I know like I've never been so more focused because I was a mother real early on, and my focus was my kids and trying to figure out who I really was. I didn't really, sometimes we don't even know who we are, like until we start getting in our late 30s and stuff. And I think that's when things started, because I was confused about, dog, what do I want to, what do I want? That's why when the transition of when my kids got older and they started leaving to go to college for a little while, like it was very devastating to me, because I'm like, dog, who am I now? Because I know everything I did was for them. Now who am I? And that's why when I bought my house down in Mississippi, I got it big enough for them. And it was a mama, we don't want to live with you no more. That was hurtful to me. Like, dog, like everything I do is for them. I remember I was on my TV show crying, my kids. I'm supposed to be doing my show, but my feelings was hurt. But I'm so glad that my girls are independent like that. Like they have such an independent personality. They have really good jobs. They're really good with money. Like they're just awesome. And because everything I did was for them, like when they've ever called me and asked me for any money, and I'm telling you, they never really do that. With my youngest daughter, who is a penny pincher, just like, save money, just like her daddy, when she called me and said, Mama, I need to ask you for something. I need to borrow $300. I hurry up and sent my baby that $300. That was some years back. And that was some years back. I sent it to her so quick. I was like, wow, like, these girls don't really ask me for nothing, so I was just really happy. I was like, oh, my baby, I knew she had to have really needed it, right? And then I told her, you ain't even got to pay me back because I knew she needed it. But, it after that, after you raise your kids and you do all of that, you go, now what? And that's why, even when I would get started with going back to school, something else would come up. Okay, I want to get this certification, I want to get that certification. And now I just feel like that's why I do so well in school. I'm so dedicated to school because I feel like I owe this to not just myself, but like our ancestors, who fought so that we could have education and all of that. It just represents so much more. And I'm so happy now that I've taken such a interest in the justice system, the legal system, and to be learning it and to have people that's willing to like mentor me on quite a few things. You know what I mean? Like I said, I go and I sit in Judge Mitchell's courtroom, and Judge Mitchell is a wonderful lawyer and judge. And I go and I sit in a couple other people's courtrooms sometimes because I like this. I have not had the opportunity to really do that when I haven't really been on the stand quite a whole lot. When I have gotten on the stand, I was really in and out of there. I mostly did the field work and helped the attorneys. When I was doing private work, I worked more for defense attorneys because they paid a whole lot. And hey, I would help them to get those cases thrown out. Like, I think got them what they needed. But I was never sitting up in a courtroom all day. But now, I get free time. I go and I sit in those courtrooms, see how they handle things federally, see how they handle things on a state level. And I think people should learn the law. That's why I have a dedication to getting my law degree. And I don't know if I'm gonna go to law school, but I'll definitely have my law degree. So that's a dedication that I've made to myself, and it makes me very proud. Okay. But listen, you guys, what's up, Tyranny? I got to go jump into the showers. Y'all listen. I know, listen, Hitta said that I sound like Hitta was talking about me the other day. I got some more of that Canvas Beauty that had came in. Y'all, I got the blueberry. Okay, I got the blueberry. So what I did was I got the blueberry. I'm getting ready to show y'all what I use. Okay, so I'm getting ready to show y'all. I'm going to show y'all this right quick. I really don't like to give free promos because you need to do business with me. Should I do that? She a black business, so I ain't gonna worry about it. I'm gonna do it. Y'all know I'm a businesswoman too now. But let me show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all what I ordered so y'all can go and order it too, okay? So you be smelling all good for your man, okay? Because I'm telling you now, when I be getting in them elevators, okay, the scent just smells so good. I'm gonna be smelling like blueberries today. I'm gonna be smelling like a straight up blueberry pie this morning. That's why I'm getting in the shower, get my blueberry, put on all my. I'm gonna show y'all what I got. This is it right here. Men, order this for your woman, but don't let this be the only thing you order for your woman, because if this all you get her for a gift, you're gonna get cussed out. Okay. So y'all, this is the body glaze that I use. I got I got this one. This is the donut. It smells just like a Krispy Kreme donut. I'm telling y'all, it do. I got this one, the pistachio, because I love pistachio ice cream, and it smells just like pistachio. I got the pineapple. I haven't worn it yet, but it smells just like a real pineapple. I ain't got the birthday suit yet, but I'm gonna get that one. I got the creme brulee because I like that. Put that in my coffee, and I got creme brulee perfume too. So I just got the body glaze and the body wash, and I got I'm gonna get that one next. The cucumber. I got the mango. The watermelon smells just like a watermelon. I got so many compliments. Okay. And what else? I got this Blueberry Bay right here, y'all. This is what I'm getting ready to get in the shower. And I got the body wash, I got the spray, and I got the glaze. The glaze melts on your skin just like icing. I'm telling you, it's thick, and then when you put it on your skin, it got a sheen in it that make your skin glistens. It melts. I promise you, I'm getting ready to be smelling like a blueberry cake. Okay, because I'm getting ready to use the body wash. I'm gonna put on the body glaze, and I got the spray. Okay, so that's what I'm getting ready to be use this morning. This morning, and I'm gonna show y'all which the other ones I got. I ain't got the grapefruit. I got y'all. I got this one in yesterday. Oh my God. It smells just like a sweet pear. I promise you, I cannot. This one, this pear, I'm gonna be smelling like a damn pear tomorrow. I'm telling you that right now. This one is tomorrow. I got that one in yesterday. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be smelling like a pear. I got the body wash, the glaze, and the spray. And I'm telling you, I'm getting ready to show y'all the other ones I got. Let's see. I ain't got the pina colada yet. I got the orange dreamsicle. Okay. And it's gone on sale. Y'all better get it. It's on sale, y'all. It smells so good. When you smell it, it smells just like a sweet orange. It smells just like a sweet orange. Like, it smells just like a sweet orange. I'm gonna tell you that. I got that one. And I'm gonna get now. A lot of people have been saying this red velvet cake is to die for. I'm gonna order that one. I'm gonna order that one this week. They was out of the body wash, so I don't like to order it unless they got the body wash and the spray or the roll-on thing. So they've been out of the body wash, but when I order that red velvet cake, because I want to smell like a red velvet cake, I want to have the body wash and the spray. Okay, the body wash has been out, so I ordered when they got all of them in. They said that red velvet cake is to die for. They say it smells just like a red velvet cake. And let's see. I'm gonna get this sweet potato pie. This right here is sweet potato pie. I ain't got that one, but I'm gonna order this one. Sweet potato pie. I'm gonna order that one. I'm gonna order the sweet potato pie. I'm gonna order the key lime because I love key lime. And I'm just trying. Oh, and y'all, I got this banana cream pie. I'm gonna tell y'all something. This banana cream pie, I promise you, it makes you smell just like a banana pudding. I got this one right here. Okay, I had this banana pudding on yesterday. I'm telling you, it smelled just like the banana Laffy Taffy. I'm telling you, a banana pudding. Okay, I had that on yesterday, and I got compliments. And I'm gonna tell y'all the other one I got because y'all know I went crazy. I'm gonna get that. No, I don't want that coconut. I might get that chocolate. I got the chocolate from Melodies, a chocolate kisses. That's from 7th Avenue Beauty. Let's see. I got another one. I like lavender, but I got a lot of lavender lotion already. But that's pink velvet. I'm gonna get that lemon cake. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And I'm gonna get that big apple. I'm gonna get the big apple. I'm gonna get the lemon cake. But I'm gonna tell y'all, she out of that strawberry shortcake. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I got so many compliments with that strawberry shortcake. It was ridiculous. The link is Canvas Beauty. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I could put the link. I'm gonna see if I could put the link in the chat so y'all can click on it. Okay, I just put the link in the chat, y'all. I'm telling y'all, let me help y'all out a little bit, okay? it would be good to get that for your woman, but don't let that be the only thing you get for her. Okay. Please don't do it, men. I'm trying to help y'all out. Okay. Because I had a guy that did that to me one time. He went and got me some Victoria. And I told him, I said, um, don't give me nothing. Victoria's Secrets I could buy for myself. Okay. And I already had a lot of Victoria's Secrets. He didn't listen to me. He went and he got me that strawberry blossom. He got me the whole set. And I was mad. I was mad as hell. Okay. I didn't want it. Okay. I took it, but I didn't want it. You don't get your woman just that for a Christmas gift, right? Get her something that you put, because all women don't like Victoria's Secrets. Victoria's Secrets is really like a cheap scent. If you're going to get her some perfume, go to dealers and get her something really nice, something expensive. You know, don't do it like that with that Victoria's Secrets and that Bath and Body Works. That's something you buy her every day. You don't get her that for Christmas and Valentine's Day. Put thought into it. Let your woman know, look, baby, you expensive to me. Okay. Anyways, y'all, I love you all. I'll talk to you later.